It was just over 100 days ago that we got the final deal done, and everyone was celebrating and joyous about the hostages coming home and the end to this long war that nobody thought was possible. What do we do next? How do you implement peace? And as you guys know, peace is a different deal than a business deal because you're changing a mindset. And in Israel, there was 2 years of very intense war. For the people in Gaza, there was more than just 2 years of war. They had 20 years of hopelessness being ruled by a terrorist organization. For the people in the Middle East, their hearts were pulled by this. Really, thank you for the leadership and the inspiration for doing this. And I think you'll see today we've achieved more than thought was possible.
So Jared Kushner spoke at the World Economic Forum Summit in Davos just the other day, and he unveiled the big plan for the Gaza Strip. What is it going to look like, this reconstruction, and turning it into the new Singapore of the Middle East, and moving on to phase 2 of the Trump 20-point plan. And I have a lot to say about Jared's presentation, but first, let's watch it. You got to take a look at what Jared lays out. This is the big Trump vision for the Gaza Strip. Have a look at this.
Thank you, Steve. And I have to say, one of the great honors for me of being able to work on this has been working with Steve, who really is as brilliant as he is. His heart is tremendous. It's a lot of fun to be with. And even in some of these, very difficult moments where we didn't think things were happening, working together really was an amazing treat. I'm going to go now today just through a couple quick slides just to show you the progress that's been made in the last couple months. It was just over 100 days ago that we got the final deal done, and everyone was celebrating and joyous about the hostages coming home and the end to this long war that nobody thought was possible. And Steve and I were panicking, saying, what do we do next? How do you implement peace? And as you guys know, peace is a different deal than a business deal because you're changing a mindset. And in Israel, there was 2 years of very intense war. For the people in Gaza, there was more than just 2 years of war. They had 20 years of hopelessness being ruled by a terrorist organization. For the people in the Middle East, their hearts were pulled by this. And throughout the entire world, it really was weighing on us. And so we needed to think about, what do we do next? How do we change the habits? How do we change the behaviors? And we really got to work right away. And the team that Steve thanked, including the White House team and the team, the volunteers, it's really been an incredible effort, very entrepreneurial. And we really did it in the way. I've been working now with President Trump for 10 years on politics. And what continues to amaze me is that he always takes a first principles approach and says, what's the most optimal outcome? Aim for that. Whereas politicians are always focused on the downside or what could go wrong or how to make it a little bit better. He always says, aim for the best possible and do your best to get there. And if everyone thinks it's impossible, that's even more reason why you should aim for it. And so really thank you for the leadership and the inspiration for doing this. And I think you'll see today we've achieved more than thought was possible. And our ambition is still to go for something, I think, better than most people think is possible as well. So.
All right, before we go on with this, and I do want to go on, I want to just share an initial thought here. So he talks about changing mindsets and changing behaviors. And this really is the root of everything that is, I wouldn't say wrong, but bound to fail about this plan that he's unveiling, as we're going to see. And we'll come back to this point. But there is a belief by Jared Kushner, by President Trump, and frankly, by most American leaders and most Western leaders for decades, that with economic incentives and the prospect of a better life, however that's defined by the kind of Western material understanding of human flourishing and prosperity, that there's this belief that will work on jihadists in the Middle East, that's what they actually want, that's more important to them than their jihadist ideology. We'll come back to this point later, but I think that this is the root of the problem. So let's get back to this. Let's get back to this video here.
Oh, let's see if these things work. They never usually work. Good. So quickly, I'll go through this 2-year war, 90,000 tons of munitions. There's over 60 million tons of rubble there and tens of thousands of fatalities. Through the ceasefire, we were able to get to the 20-point plan, ceasefire, release of hostages. Getting the UN resolution passed was a huge, huge effort, really thanks to Mike Waltz and the whole team there. They did an incredible job. And we've then, with the help of the UN, we've worked very, very well with them. This is why you need a new organization like the Board of Peace to work with the UN. I want to thank Tom Fletcher, did an incredible job of really getting it going. We've done historic humanitarian aid. Going forward, number one thing is going to be security. Obviously, we've been working very closely with the Israelis to figure out a way through de-escalation. And the next phase is working with Hamas on demilitarization, which I'll talk about in a second. But without security, nobody's going to make investments. Nobody's going to come, build there. We need investments in order to start giving jobs. We want to take these people. 85% of the aid of Gaza, 85% of the GDP of Gaza has been aid for a long time. That's not sustainable. It doesn't give these people dignity. It doesn't give them hope. And so we want to use free market economy principles. A lot of what President Trump spoke about that he's doing in America, we want to bring the same mindset, the same approach to a place like Gaza to give these people the ability to thrive and have a good life. So on the aid, I mentioned the UN. So now people are talking about famine. 100% of the food needs are met, and that's been overabundance. The cost of goods have gone down tremendously. Over 55,000 trucks have gone in, and over 1.4 million pallets. And it's been the largest humanitarian effort done into a war zone that anyone's been able to tell us about. This really has been a great joint effort that everyone's been able to do, and so it's a great thing. We all just heard from Ali.
Super quick comment. The amount of humanitarian aid that has gone in to the Hamas-controlled area of the Gaza Strip, it does not have anything to do with the potential success of this rebuilding Gaza plan. But let's just get back to it. Might as well.
We have been so impressed. Steve and I were speaking to him and the entire committee. Such bravery of these people to step up. And we've worked with the Palestinian Authority, who's been helping us as well. But this committee is the first time it's a technocratic, apolitical committee. I really want to thank the Arab partners for helping us select the right people to do this. And we just need to believe in them and support them. I put this up here. It's probably a little too small for me to read, but this is really important if you saw the mission statement. So Hamas's mission statement was, we need to destroy the state of Israel. That has not worked well for the people, as we've seen. Their mission statement is, we are committed to establishing security, restoring the essential services that form the bedrock of human dignity, such electricity, water, healthcare, and education, as well as cultivating a society rooted in peace, democracy, and justice, operating with the highest standards of integrity, transparency. So these are the basic things. Their goal is to have peace and to help their people, which is an obvious mission statement for a government, but actually fairly novel for Gaza. So we did a master plan. We brought in, I thank you, Rabbi, who's one of the most successful real estate developers and brilliant people I know. He's volunteered to do this, not for profit, really because of his heart. He wants to do this. And we've developed ways to redevelop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential. And this is for the people of Gaza. We've developed it into zones. In the beginning, we were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone, and then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what, let's just plan for catastrophic success. Hamas signed a deal to demilitarize. That is what we are going to enforce. People ask us what our plan B is. We do not have a plan B. We have a plan. We signed an agreement. We are all committed to making that agreement work. There's a master plan. We'll be doing it in phasing. In the Middle East, they build cities like this in 2-3 million people. They build this in 3 years. And so stuff like this is very doable if we make it happen. Rafa will start with. This will show a lot of workforce housing. We think this could be done in 2-3 years. We've already started removing the rubble and doing some of the demolition. And then New Gaza. It could be a hope. It could be a destination, have a lot of industry, and really be a place that the people there can thrive, have great employment. Once this starts going, we think there should be 100% full employment and opportunity for everybody there. And we have a lot of data on what can be, but we think that this really gives the Gazan people an opportunity to live their aspirations. But it all starts with security, and it all starts with governance. Final note I'll just say on the Board of Peace, which is that all the lessons we're doing is we're basically studying the best practices from all over the world, and we're watching who does education the best, who does healthcare delivery the best. All of these things it's not secret IP. All this is IP that the Board of Peace is going to make public, and we want to encourage all the countries to be able to follow these best practices. A lot of the things that President Trump is doing in America, if they're working, we should all be copying them. If we find what's working in other countries, we should be copying them too. And so what the Board of Peace will have the ability to do if we're successful with Gaza is really show how do you do peace implementation, which is something that when we got this deal done, we didn't really find too much expertise or know-how on how to do it. So as we're creating this system, hopefully it's something that we can just document these learnings and make them available to all else who want to use them in the future. So demilitarization, this is something we're starting now that we have a new government in Gaza. This government will be working with Hamas on the demilitarization to really take the principles that were agreed to in the document to the next phase. And hopefully that will be successful. Without that, we can't rebuild. So if Hamas does not demilitarize, that will be what holds back Gaza and the people of Gaza from achieving their aspiration, and that's very important. So the next 100 days, we're going to continue to just be heads down and focused on making sure this is implemented. We continue to be focused on humanitarian aid, humanitarian shelter, but then creating the conditions to move forward. So thank you. Final point I'll just make is this is really only possible because of the work of so many people and President Trump's great leadership. But a lot of you have been asking, how can we help? So the countries have all been incredibly generous. We'll be doing the first conference where we'll announce a lot of the contributions that will be made in a couple weeks in Washington. From the private sector, there'll be amazing investment opportunities. I know it's a little risky to be investing in a place like this, but we need you to come, take faith, invest in the people, try to be a part of it. And then finally, I'll just talk to people on the media and on the social media, which is, this deal only happened because we worked with Israel, we worked with Turkey, we worked with Qatar, we worked with Saudi, we worked with Egypt. I mean, everyone worked together. We worked with UAE. We all worked together to make this happen. I see a lot of people trying to escalate, criticizing Israel or Israelis criticizing Turkey or Qatar. Just calm down for 30 days. I think that the war is over. Let's do our best to try working together. Our goal here is peace between Israel and the Palestinian people. Everyone wants to live peacefully. Everyone wants to live with dignity. Let's put our efforts towards promoting those who are doing the work to build this up, like Ali and his committee. Let's focus on the positive stories, and let's just calm down, turn a new chapter. And if we believe that peace is possible, then peace really can be possible. So we're going to continue to work every day. We need all of your help to do it. And again, I just really want to thank President Trump for his leadership in doing this. This would not have been possible without your commitment to this. Everyone thought it was impossible to end this war. You never gave up. You never stopped. Every time there was a setback, you told us to try harder. You gave us different ideas. And we've made several impossible things happen just in Gaza to date. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to make even more impossible things happen. So really, thank you for your amazing leadership.
Okay, so let's talk about this. There's a lot to say here. You see, this is pure delusion. Now, why is it delusion? Am I being pessimistic? Am I being a naysayer, raining on the parade? Everyone wants peace, and don't I want a better life for the Gazan people? Of course I do. But here's the problem. You see, I said at the outset of this video that the big mistake is believing that economic incentives will moderate these jihadists. And you see there this map of zones with industry and nation building. These people are not interested in industry. Let me tell you a story. When Israel pulled out of the Gaza Strip in 2005 and evacuated entire Jewish communities and just handed the whole thing over to the Arabs there, the Gazans, the so-called Palestinians. When Israel handed over the Gaza Strip, they decided to leave behind the greenhouses and other structures that were used for the Jewish industry from the Jewish towns, the Jewish settlements and towns that were in the Gaza Strip. They left it behind. And you know what the Gazans did with all of the equipment and the greenhouses that were left behind for them? They burned it all to the ground. They burned it all to the ground so that there'd be no trace of any Jews in the Gaza Strip. These people are not interested in prosperity. Just to drill down further on this point, Jared said there that this plan gives the Gazan people an opportunity to live their aspirations. Well, you know what their aspirations are? There was, excuse me, there's polling done by a Palestinian polling operation called the PCPSR. Okay, here it is. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. The PCPSR is the Palestinian Center for Policy and Survey Research. Okay, that's what it's called. And they're a Palestinian, the Palestinian Company for Polls and Survey Research. That's what they are. And they do polls every few months of the Palestinians, of the Arabs living both in Judea and Samaria, known as the West Bank, and in the Gaza Strip. And in the polling, the most recent polling they did in October, which is after the Trump plan was announced, they polled the Palestinian people. And here's what they found. They found that, first of all, a majority of Palestinians support Hamas's response to the Trump plan. But listen to what they mean by that. Here it is. Okay. So let's see what's in this poll. The public in both, look at this bullet point. The public in both the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, but more in the former, is highly opposed to the element in the Trump plan that demands the disarmament of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, even if this is a condition for the war to not return to the Gaza Strip, with opposition standing at 78% in the West Bank and 55%, still an overwhelming majority, in the Gaza Strip. Support for disarming Hamas stands at 18% in the West Bank and 44%. So a minority of Gazans, these are the Gazans who were supposedly suffering so much, they are opposed to Hamas disarming. They are opposed to Hamas laying down its weapons, even if it means an end to war in the Gaza Strip. This is what people like Jared Kushner do not understand. So when you say that this plan gives a chance to the Palestinians to live out their aspirations, understand their aspiration is to destroy Israel. They do not want Hamas to disarm. So if, as Jared Kushner says, that Hamas disarming is a prerequisite for everything else to happen. In fact, he even went on to say, this is an exact quote from that video, if Hamas will not demilitarize, that is what will prevent the Gazan people from achieving their aspirations. This is where Jared has it backwards. The aspiration of the Gazan people is not for Hamas to disarm. Hamas disarming does not prevent them from achieving their aspirations. Okay? Their aspiration is for Hamas to remain armed, and they don't even mind if the war continues. That is where the Palestinian people are. And that is why this whole plan is it's a very nice PowerPoint presentation, Jared Kushner, but it has zero chance of success. And I'll say one more thing. One of the big mistakes and one of the big criticisms of the Bush era foreign policy was that it was this neoconservative exercise in nation building, and that America shouldn't be involved in trying to, be involved in these nation building projects where you go into the Middle East and you try to impose a kind of Western style view of success and prosperity and make it work, and government. This is exactly what the Trump administration is doing. Okay, this is a doomed to fail effort in nation building where there's a terrorist organization that is still in control of the majority of the population in the Gaza Strip who refuses to disarm. I will leave you with a clip from a video from Sky News Australia of Hamas senior spokesperson Bassem Naim speaking right after the Trump 20-point plan was signed. And he and President Trump claimed, or he's been saying ever since, that Hamas agreed to disarm. So take a look at this clip.
Dr. Bassem, this is part of the deal, though. This is written very clearly as part of Donald Trump's
We are not part of the whole deal.
plan.
We have accepted the first phase.
There you have it, folks. We are not part of the deal. We have accepted the first phase. That was what he said. And that was in the context of being asked about the fact that he's refusing to disarm. Okay, so there's no disarming of Hamas. It is simply not going to happen. And that's why Jared Kushner, very nice press conference, very nice speech at the World Economic Forum. And I like that you recognize that it is impossible. But what is Israel will not be withdrawing from anything, and none of this is going to move forward until Hamas is removed, and that will only happen through military action.